Good evening, welcome to the Shifnal podcast sponsored by Princeborough. Delighted to be joined by manager Connor Patterson again. Hello Connor.
Hi mate, you okay?
Connor, following your latest podcast, there was a few interesting downloads, mate, because it gives us information about where they're downloaded from. You got 3 downloads from Thailand, Connor. Like, is there a bit of a backstory there, or you know what I mean, like a stag do that went wrong?
Nah, mate, I've been on a couple of our lists.
Have you? So that you have obviously got
nothing there.
We knew you were big in Telford, but he's big in Thailand as well.
Well, yeah, we'll support a few followers over with you, mate.
That makes the story you told me.
No, but we've really enjoyed your last podcast. How are things going, Connor? Give us a few updates on what's been going on.
Yeah, mate, things are going really well. We started pre-season last week. Started off with a trialist game, just for us to look at lads and see what we thought of them. You know, now we've cut the lads down from that and started working with a squad that we're looking to take in lads from the season. Obviously, I've had Deeks come in with us and got Nico as well, who's planning all the sessions, putting all the hard work into the sessions. Lads really enjoying them so far. Some real good feedback on them, and lads really putting it in there as well.
It's amazing how fast things are coming around, isn't it? Because we spoke about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's only almost just over a week until the first pre-season game, isn't it?
Yeah, mate. So it's coming around really quick. You know, first pre-season next week. So hopefully we can start with winning ways and take that into the season.
Excellent. And would you like to introduce the gentleman sat next to you?
Yeah. So the gentleman sat next to me, Kyle Bennett. I've known Kyle for a long time. Really looking forward to working with him this season. He'll bring some great ability to the squad and some real big experience and character as well.
Fantastic. And how long have you known Carl for? How long have you known Carl for?
I've known Carl since I was a little boy, mate, to be fair. Carl was good friends with my cousin, and obviously just from being around my cousins and stuff, I knew Kyle, and I've known Carl for a long time now, mate.
Brilliant. So welcome to Shifnal, Carl.
Thank you.
So as well as Connor, what else has brought you to Shifnal? What's really stood out for you as a club?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Connor quite frequently over the last couple of weeks, and there's a lot going on here, I feel. You know, with the calibre of player that we're bringing in now, Deeks, Nico coming in as well, I feel like the standards are going to be set high, and obviously with Mick as well, and what Mick wants here, he doesn't want to get promoted, and I know people don't like talking about that word, but
yeah.
For me, I've had a couple in my career, more than a couple, sorry. But yeah, I want to add another one to that, and I feel like being at home to like a hometown club, I feel like it's massive to do that. So.
Excellent. So you live in Telford currently?
Yeah, I live in Telford currently.
And would you like to talk about your day job?
Day job.
Yeah. So what do you do during the week?
Oh, right, okay. So I own a football academy, which I try and coach kids how to be bad at football. But yeah, I coach kids on a weekly basis. We do like one-to-one small group sessions.
And are those sessions based in Telford, or
all based in Telford? Yeah, all based in Telford, and we just give younger players opportunities to go and train with us, learn, and also give them opportunities of potentially going into an academy.
So chance for a little bit of a plug for yourself. So where can people find you on social media and things like that?
Yeah, so we're called 23 Academy. We're meant to be doing this.
Yes, absolutely fine. You're fine.
That's better. But yeah, so it's called 23 Academy.
Yeah.
And we give quite a few players opportunities in the last month or so, going into different professional clubs and having trials, and a few of them have been signed recently, so it's really good, really progressing really well.
Fantastic. And obviously, you're here at Shifnal as a player, and you want to get as many years as possible out of your career left, but do you reckon long term, coaching and perhaps sitting where Connor is somewhere that you're looking towards in the future long term?
I've spoke about it with a few people. I wasn't 100% sure whether I wanted to be a manager. I always said as a player I would never be a coach.
Right.
Here I am coaching, so you never know. But obviously I've spoken with Connor, and obviously I know Nico's experience and Deeks' experience. I feel like I can learn a lot from all of them in a first team environment, because I've never done it as a manager or as an assistant or a coach. So I feel like I would like to be part of what they're doing as well, and like own into what they're doing in terms of the session, why they're planning the session, game plans and stuff like that. I feel like I would love to be part of that with these 3.
So in terms of your career as a whole, you've obviously spent most of that being a professional footballer. What would you say your most memorable moments as a professional footballer? Which times really stuck out for you in particular?
It's quite obvious. Promotions are always the main thing. Like I said earlier, I had 3 promotions: one with Bury, one with Doncaster, and one with Portsmouth, and all three of them, you know, you don't even remember the games in the season, and that's being truthful.
Really?
You remember, like, you know, the ones that the catalyst of you turning the season around, for example.
Yeah.
You know, if you've gone on a losing streak, you've won a game, and you come back to end up getting promoted. You know, you remember them games, or the final game, or the one you get promoted. But you know, it's just that special moment at the end when you've set out to achieve a goal, i.e., what we're setting out to this season, promotion, and you achieve it. You know, there's no better feeling than that. So I feel like always promotions stick out the most.
And playing at Portsmouth, it must have been special playing at Fratton Park because it's a real traditional ground, isn't it? And the fans, you know, they sing non-stop, don't they, all the way through the game.
Oh, it's incredible. It's one of the biggest clubs in the country in terms of fan base, in terms of how they back the team. I don't think I've ever played for a club, you know, I'll play for a few now, that sing louder when the opposition team score.
Right.
And that was the thing that stuck out to me with the Pompey fans, you know, and it's an incredible place to play. You know, you're playing against Crewe, for example, no disrespect to Crewe, at home at Fratton Park, and there's 26,000 people there.
Yeah.
It's incredible, you know, and they do back the team, and yeah, it is a lovely club, great club.
Mick, would you say that Connor's the biggest? Would you say that Carl's probably Shifnal's the biggest ever signing in terms of background? And yeah, definitely.
Yeah, without a doubt, he is.
He's got to be,
second best. His dad was the best.
Ah, okay, which brings us on nicely. So, would you like to talk about that a bit?
I'll give that to my dad. You know, obviously he passed away a couple of years ago.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry to
so
hear that.
no, it's fine. So yeah, he obviously played for Mick. And it's the first thing
Wow.
Mick said when I came in to sign. He says, you know, if you're off the play, your dad was sorry, then you'll be all right. So.
Do you remember ever coming to watch your dad play for Shifnal?
I do remember coming to that play Shifnal, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And was it at the current ground at the
It's
Augusta Phone?
the current ground.
Was it Phoenix Park before? Was that the name of the ground? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I remember I come down. I can't remember. It might have been playing against Bridge North actually.
Right.
Which
Okay.
I think he played for at one time.
Yeah.
I only remember it vividly, but I always remember that the stadium and pulling into the car park with my old
So,
man. Yeah.
did you or your brother ever play for any of Shifnal youth teams like at that time or anything like that?
No. We both started at Wolves. I was there from when I was 6 till I was 19. So
Yeah.
I stayed there from the whole time.
Fantastic.
And my brother was literally the same. So.
And who's your brother currently playing for?
So he was at Shrewsbury last year.
Yeah.
He got released, and then he's speaking to a few clubs at the minute
Yeah.
to see what he's doing. Did try and get him down at Shifnal, but he told me where to go.
Brilliant.
But yeah, he's just waiting for a little minute. You know, he's got a few offers on the table, but you know, he's right to take that time for himself. You know, he's 34 now, so you know he's going to take his time.
And as brothers, are you very close? Because obviously all families are different, you know.
No, we're close. I think it's important, especially in the football environment, especially, you know, at that kind of level when you've been a pro. It's very, let's just say lonely, but it's hard to lean on certain people. So knowing that I'm his brother and I've been through the same as what he's been through, it's a good communication network between us, because
Absolutely.
you know, you look for advice and things, and there's some things that I've seen that he probably hasn't seen, vice versa.
And do you certainly see yourself as a bit of a role model to a lot of the players at Shifnal, in that, you know, Connor's brought in quite a few younger lads, and you know, you're getting towards the stage in your career now where, you know, you've been there, you've seen it, you've done it, and you want to pass that advice on to the players. Although you're not a coach, you know, you're going to be a big voice in the dressing room and on the pitch.
Call it a role model. I think, you know, that's a big word. I think for me, I feel, you know, what you've done in the past. Obviously, you know, it'll hold down your legacy as a person, etc., etc. What I've done in the game. However, I feel you're only a role model if you continue to do them things. So I feel like I can't just, you know, turn up how I want to turn up and just laze around, I guess, and want people to call me a role model, because if I'm not setting the standards, then I'm not a role model in this current moment. So I feel like you're only as good as what you're doing right now. Me personally, that's what I think.
And from being a professional footballer to, you know, a semi-professional footballer, how did you find that transition? Because obviously, you know, you're used to training day in, day out, playing games consistently, but
Yeah.
when you haven't got that rigidity of a week and that structure, you know, and it is easier to fall into bad habits, isn't it? You know, because you haven't got that constant discipline. How have you found that transition?
Good question, really. I feel you get to a point where in your career where you've had, you know, obviously a decent career or whatever you want to call it, and let's say you fall out of love with the game. There's a lot of politics involved with football when you get to that level. wages, or people don't want to play you anymore because they're trying to get you out because they want to cut the budget or whatever it might be. I guess that's all levels, but especially when you get to that level, you know, it becomes a bit sometimes more about that than the football. But the transition, you know, I had a lot going on in my life at that time, in my personal life with my old man and a couple of other things. So it was probably the right time for me, to be honest with you. You know, some things just aligned right, and I feel like it has for me. The transition in terms of actually training every day, yeah, it was tough. It was tough because, you know, you're used to being competitive every day and almost going into battle every day, really, trying to beat the person next to you. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I've coped with it well, and here I am, and I'm still here to tell stories after.
Interesting question. Do you think being a semi-professional footballer is almost more enjoyable? Because being a professional footballer, it's pressure, isn't it? Day in, day out, you've been constantly watched, constantly monitored, you know, private life, your life as a footballer. Whereas a semi-professional footballer, there is that, although you're trying to set high standards still, there is a more relaxed atmosphere to it, isn't there?
Yeah, it definitely is. I feel like you've got, you know, when you're in it, it's almost like it's a team sport but an individual sport in the same breath. You know, you're in a team, and let's just say, for example, Connor, I'm a number 10 and you're a number 10, right? Off the pitch, me and you know, go for a beer or go for food together with our families and stuff. However, when it comes to training or a match day, I'm going to show everyone I'm better than you, because at the end of the day, you want my wages and I want your wages, and that's what it is. Someone comes in, you know, and it's a dog eat dog world in that environment. So, you know, you come down to semi-professional, I guess it's exactly the same. However, you get to switch off from it. Whereas in a full-time environment, you literally wake up in the morning, you prepare for training, you go to training, you know, you go through your routine, you train, you recover, you go to sleep, you get all your rest in. That's literally constant for the whole season. Whereas in part-time, semi-professional, you've got that kind of breather. You get like a couple of days to relax another time and to literally switch your mind off from it, because you have got other things going on. So yeah, I mean, it's a good thing, I think for some people, but switching that mindset is probably not easy for everyone.
And you know, like when you were playing professionally and you're playing in front of those big crowds, does the noise of the crowd almost become like a bit of a blur? Like, because you're so obviously switched on in terms of the game, apart from when the game stops and obviously, you know, there's that pause, is it almost a bit of a blur? Whereas at semi-professional level, you hear everything that's said, don't you? Every single thing that somebody says, you can hear it, because obviously everything's so close. But is it almost just background noise when you're a professional and you're playing in front of the likes of, you know, 25,000 at Bratton Park?
I think it depends, you know. I think it depends what character you are as a person. I feel like for me, I thrived on it, like playing in the big stadiums and big crowds, and almost sometimes when the crowd on your back, it kind of spurred me on more, or on the team's back, or me as a person. Sometimes, you know, frightened. Sometimes I got a bit of abuse and whatnot, and everyone goes through that. It almost sometimes made me feel like I had to do more. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Do you know what? I can't answer that question. I'll be honest with you. It's tough. It's tough to answer that question. But yeah, it's just interesting because you see different characters go through different things. Some people go under, or some people just like step on. And I'll always remember, like when, say at Portsmouth, for example, I went through a month or so of having a bit of abuse from the fans and stuff. And it's one thing Paul Cook come out and said about me. He just said, it's one thing he'll never do is hide, and that's one thing I've always prided myself on. If I'm having a bad game, I still won't hide from the ball. I'll still go and try and get it, and I'll probably give it away again, but I'll still go and get it. So that was just me as a person, but everyone's different.
And how much of the game, not only at semi-professional level but professional level, do you think is that mentality side? Because so much of football it's those learned behaviours, isn't it? You know, you're constantly doing the passing, you're constantly doing the shooting, but like you say, playing on the training pitch is so much different to playing on in front of the crowds. How much do you think is mentality and how much is actually the skill level?
They always say, what do they say, 90-10? Is that what it is, Nico?
So, sorry?
What do they say it is? It's 90% mental, 10%.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
I think it's 100% mental. Me personally, just because everything you do comes from your mind. So every decision you make on the pitch, you think you use this. Every pass you make, every cross you make, every shot you take, it always comes from this. So how healthy that is how healthy you are as a player.
And it's that ability to deal with pressure, isn't it? It's all very well doing it with nobody watching you, but when the pressure's on and the whole atmosphere of the occasion there. It's that ability to be there and like your former manager said, stood there and be counted.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like, you know, I've seen many of training ground internationals come into the clubs that we've been on trial, and like, oh, he looks good him in training. Like, he's brilliant. It's like Pele. He's unbelievable. Stick him in front of 25,000. Yeah, he wasn't the same player, you know, or 10,000 or whatever it might be. So, you know, it is a big thing, and it's not just about, like you say, we spoke about that constantly. It's not just about how you are with the ball in football. It's everything involved. You know, how you are around the lads, how you are around the training ground. It's just so much on and off the pitch. It is massive. You know, I've had my failings in that in the past at certain clubs and stuff, being not 100% right off the pitch. That's me being honest, and you know, and it always worked out badly for me. When I was right here in the mind, I feel like that's when it worked for me. So.
A few quick fire questions, because we're in quite a unique position having a former player like yourself who played at such a good level. Who would you say was the best player that you played with?
Best player I played with. Are you talking in terms of like ability, or in terms of like stature?
I think not just overall package. That in your opinion, you just thought, you know, if you could play with one player now, who would that person be? A former teammate?
It's a tough one, you know. I play with some good ones, but also some crazy ones. No, Graham Deacon.
It does ring the bell. That he didn't go to Thailand as well, did he?
He just headed and kicked it, and that's all it was. But no, like in terms of like ability, just pure ability,
Yeah.
Forget all like the mental side,
Yeah.
how you are as a role model. LFG is probably.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he was.
Wow.
Like, some of the things that he used to do in training, you'd think like, wow, this guy is incredible. But
Yeah.
off the pitch, I don't think you want to hear any stories about that, because
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like, I've got plenty of stories about him, but as an overall package, it'd have to be James Coppinger, who's
Okay, at Doncaster, a bit of a Doncaster legend, yeah.
He's the technical director at Doncaster now, and honestly, he was incredible in everything. On the pitch, he was technically. I don't know how he's not playing in the Premier League. He played once in the Premier League, I think. He made his debut for Newcastle with Alan Shearer up front. That was his only appearance, but yeah, he was incredible. And off the pitch, just a perfect man. Like, he had, you know, he wasn't off doing the madness, what Jufi was doing and stuff. And yeah, he just helped all the young lads, to be honest with you. He's just very, very, talk about the role model, what you asked me before, and that was the perfect role model. He was, what is he, how old was he now? He'd have been 33, 34, maybe. Front of the running, every time, at front, running, and telling lads, hurry up, you run up. How you let me beat you? I'm older than you, like 20-year-old lads, and he was just a perfect role model.
And which manager had the biggest impression on you?
In terms of
Obviously, it'll be Conor Paxson after
Yeah,
a couple of months, but
I've known Conor longer than all of them. So. In terms of what that's the question. I think that's like a very brief question.
yeah, in terms of the personal impact on you as a player, and you just thought, I really clicked with that manager, and I had a really good time with them.
I feel like everything's so different. You know, I had Sean O'Driscoll, for example, who brought me to Doncaster. He was tactically, he opened my eyes to football. Before, I thought it was about me getting the ball, dribbling past everyone and trying to score. He opened my eyes to a different world of football. So, him in terms of that. Dean Saunders in terms of, he was at Doncaster as well, in terms of like just all round, in terms of the dressing room.
Yeah,
how
quite
he got,
personality.
how he got the dressing room going, and just him as a person, like he impacted me a lot.
Yeah.
And then the biggest one in terms of the overall, probably Paul Cook. Because he had he had the personality and his tactical awareness of football was just perfect. So probably Paul Cook, but them two impacted me just as big, really.
Most memorable stadium that you played at?
You know what? You're not going to believe this. You know, I remember when I was 12, we went to, or 13 it was, after the 2002 World Cup. We went with Wolves to Japan. Went on to like a Club World Cup to Japan, and do you remember the goal that Ronaldinho scored over the top of?
The free kick.
Who was it? Who was it? Seaman. That's
Seaman,
the music goal there. He played in that stadium.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Played in that stadium. That was probably the most memorable in terms of that.
I get that,
But
yeah.
in terms of like my actual professional playing career, West Ham,
West Ham,
Upton Park, before they went to the big stadium. We played away there. They got promoted that season, I think, through the playoffs. And yeah, it was just insane.
So, moving forward, what are you most looking forward to at Shifnal this season?
I think what you said, driving standards and getting promoted. I think that's the end goal for me, and everything that we're doing right now, Nico, Deeks, Connor, Mick, everyone, and even the players, putting all that work in, what we've done tonight, that's all in aid of getting promotion. That's the final goal. You forget all the little bits in between. Once we get that on the final day or however long it is, I think that's the main aim. So I feel like for me, the standards, character. What do you think I'm going to bring? Let me flip the roles on you.
Yeah, I like this. I like this. I definitely think you're going to bring bums on seats. I think
Okay.
you're a big name and people are.
Is that it?
No, whoa, this is a list.
Oh, I'm joking.
From what I saw of you, you're a high energy player. You work hard. You've obviously got good quality on the ball. And I'm looking forward to seeing you when we're struggling in games. I think you're going to be the one who grabs it by the scruff of the neck and says, "Come on, we're going to be the ones who win this. I'm going to get us out of this." And I'm buzzing about the season. Connor, what do you think Carl's going to bring to the team? We're going to put pressure on you now.
Well, like I say, Carl's experience speaks for itself. He's been at levels that other people haven't been at. So he's going to come in this season and be a big character in the changing room, help push us in the right direction. He's on to the lads in the chat already. The ambitions are set from the start of the season, where we want to go this season, what we want to do. Kyle knows what's going on here, and he's a big part of pushing these lads in the right direction and really helping us have a successful season this season.
Carl, thanks very much for your time.
No,
Connor, thanks very much for yours. It's been fascinating chatting to you both. All the best over the next few weeks. It's not long now to the first pre-season game. Really looking forward to it.
Thank you, Rick.
You
Top
too.
man.
Thanks, Rick. Top man.